Back in 1996, Intel, the American tech giant, made headlines by completing one of its largest expansion projects in the Philippines. This move sparked conversations, with outlets like Bloomberg highlighting how the country, once labeled the sick man of Asia, was now transforming into a prime destination for high-tech and electronics industries. At the heart of this transformation was Intel's new $350 million facility, one of only 3 in the world, where the iconic Pentium chips were assembled and tested. These chips were a game-changer for Intel, driving their success at the time. But here's the kicker. The $350 million investment wasn't the only attention-grabbing project Intel had in store. This brand-new, state-of-the-art plant was just the beginning. Just outside the capital city, Intel was already planning a much larger project, a $550 million facility dedicated to assembling advanced chips. This new site would soon rise in an industrial park, positioning the Philippines to play a pivotal role in the tech world's future. Back in the 1990s, foreign investments like Intel's were a huge deal for the Philippines. The country was struggling with political turmoil and economic challenges, so when big tech companies started eyeing it as a hub for electronics, it felt like the dawn of a new era for growth. Many saw it as a sign that the Philippines was ready to join the global stage. Over the decades, Intel poured around $1.5 billion into the Philippines from 1974 to 2008. At one point, the country even boasted the second-largest offshore assembly plant outside of Malaysia. This was no small feat. Intel wasn't just another American company. It was a key player in shaping Silicon Valley, driving innovations that changed the tech world. But like all good things, Intel's time in the Philippines would eventually come to an end. By 2008, Intel made the shocking announcement. It was shutting down its Philippine plants. This move hit the economy hard, not to mention the thousands of employees who relied on those jobs. Suddenly, the powerhouse that once drove so much economic growth was gone. Naturally, questions and speculations followed. What caused this downfall? Some pointed to the country's ongoing political instability, while others blamed the global recession at the time. Industry insiders, though, highlighted 2 major issues: the rising costs of electricity and labor. Whatever the reason, Intel's exit left a void, sparking debates that lingered long after the company's departure. But are those really the reasons why Intel left the Philippines? Why did it close down one of its largest overseas investments, an important part of its business? To truly understand, we need to journey back to the very beginning, to the roots Intel once planted in the Philippines. The rise of the Philippines' electrical and electronic industry was fueled by various companies and government initiatives. Intel, however, was among the first to seize this opportunity. In 1974, Makati City was rapidly becoming the hotspot for multinational and local companies alike. It was evolving into the Philippines' premier business district, destined to host the headquarters of many large conglomerates. Seeing the potential, Intel set up its own manufacturing plant right in this bustling district. This move was part of Intel's strategy to outsource some of its operations overseas, presumably to cut costs and enhance its value chain. That's why, during the same decade, they established numerous plants, not just in the Philippines, but across Southeast Asia. But the Philippines held special significance. Before the downturn, it had emerged as the second-largest offshore assembly plant in Intel's global network. Understanding how this significant presence eventually dwindled sheds light on the true reasons behind Intel's exit from the country. Over the years, Intel's manufacturing plant in Makati saw significant expansions, all part of their broader goal to continue growing operations overseas. This plant didn't just contribute to Intel's success, it played a pivotal role in boosting the Philippines' export market. By 1995, electronics made up over 44% of the country's total merchandise exports, a massive leap compared to 1988. Intel's entrance into the Philippines wasn't just another business move. It sent a clear signal. investing in the Philippines would pay off big time. In fact, many argue that Intel's early investment sparked a wave of interest from other foreign firms, including American, European, and Japanese companies. Intel's business thrived, and it wasn't long before they decided to expand even further. By 1996, Intel relocated its Makati plant to General Trias, and by 2002, they fully shifted operations there, closing the Makati facility. General Trias, known for its industrial park housing global semiconductor companies, became Intel's new home. At its peak, the factory employed around 3,000 people, and despite challenges like the Asian financial crisis, Intel's business kept growing. By 2004, Intel Philippines was responsible for over 36% of Cavité's real domestic product, a huge contribution to the local economy. But even with all this success, trouble was on the horizon. By 2005, cracks began to show, and Intel's dominance in the Philippines started to feel a bit less certain. Rumors were swirling across the Philippines. Industry experts and media outlets started to whisper that Intel might be planning its exit from the country by 2010. At first, these were just rumors, but it soon became clear that there was truth behind them. In 2006, Intel opened a massive $605 million testing and assembly plant in Vietnam. This move raised concerns in the Philippines, signaling that Intel might be shifting its focus away from their long-standing facility in the country. Was the company's attention now turning to greener pastures? Intel executives were quick to shut down the speculation, claiming it was just part of their expansion strategy and wouldn't affect their operations in the Philippines. But was it really just an expansion or something more? The signs said otherwise. That same year, Intel announced a $1 billion investment plan across Asia, with major plants planned in Malaysia and China, but none in the Philippines. The unease only grew in 2007, when Intel unveiled a $2.5 billion facility in China, leaving many in the Philippines wondering if their time with Intel was coming to an end. By 2008, the global economy was teetering on the edge of collapse. A potential housing bubble loomed, and the global financial crisis was just around the corner. In this stormy economic climate, Intel Philippines became increasingly vulnerable to shutdown, as the company's focus shifted elsewhere, and governments around the world scrambled to save their economies. Intel wasn't immune to the challenges of the 2008 financial crisis. But despite the rough times, Intel Philippines still employed 1,800 people and contributed a staggering $5.83 billion to the country's exports that year. To put that into perspective, Intel's contribution made up more than 10% of the Philippines' $49 billion export revenue in 2008. In earlier years, Intel had an even greater impact, employing over 5,000 workers directly and generating around 36,000 indirect jobs. The company accounted for 22% of the total exports in Cavite and was the largest employer in General Trias, a city that had about 107,000 people in 2000. Cavite itself, with a population of over 2 million, was thriving, and Intel played a huge role in that economic success. But this success was about to vanish. On January 21, 2009, Intel, headquartered in California, announced its decision to close 2 of its assembly testing facilities, one in Malaysia and the other in Cavite, Philippines. Intel Philippines explained that the economic downturn had significantly reduced demand, making it financially unsustainable to keep the plant running. The company needed to restructure its manufacturing operations, and Intel Philippines didn't make the cut. While the financial recession was the official reason for the closure, many experts were left wondering, was the recession really the main reason, or were there deeper issues at play? It's likely the financial crisis was the major, if not the only, factor behind Intel's exit from the Philippines. Still, it's hard to ignore the fact that if the Philippines had been a more competitive spot for investment, Intel might have stayed. Plenty of industry experts have pointed to the country's high electricity and labor costs, which were much higher compared to its neighboring nations. But what do you think? Was Intel's exit really all about those costs, Or was the global financial crisis the bigger reason? Maybe it had something to do with political instability. After all, a 2004 Bloomberg article mentioned that Intel preferred to set up shop in countries with minimal political risk. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let us know what you think. And as always, thanks for watching.